Thank you so much, Micah. Fantastic. There you are. All right. Our next reader for tonight is Leticia Urieta. She is a Tejana writer from Austin, Texas. And I'm going to take a second because I'm going to stutter through all of this if I don't stop stuttering. All right. She is a graduate of Agnes Scott College and a fiction candidate in the MFA program at Texas State University, where she is a graduate teaching assistant and the blog editor for Front Porch Journal. She is currently working as an educator in the community with a focus on equity in the pedagogy of writing. Her work has appeared or is forthcoming in Cleaver, Bearing the Mask, Persona Poems of the Southwest from Dos Gatos Press, Chicon Street Poets, Santa Sucia Zine, Chiflada Zine, Border Senses, and Quelly. Leticia lives in Austin, Texas with her husband and 2 dogs. She is currently at work on a short story collection and her first novel about the role of Mexican soldaderas in Texas's war with Mexico. And her favorite flavor of ice cream is Rocky Road. And this black table right over here.
Like just got finished today, so. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to Marilis for recommending me. And it's just like kind of a dream because so many of our friends are here, and to be able to read with these 2 women is pretty amazing. So thank you. So I'm going to read a little bit of poetry and a little bit of some of my novel as well. But this one was from my last zine, which is the very first one I ever made. Again, thanks to Marilis, who showed me that that's a possible thing. And this is kind of my attempt to suck poison from a wound of just feeling not so great about the environment I was in. In the cave of me, an enclosed chamber which is dank and musty since the passage tubbled closed, I am running my fingernails along the cracks, the crevices crusted over with sediment that has calcified and closed me off from the light that used to filter in and let things grow in the dark. Each pass of my finger, each scrape peels back more and more glassy pieces of sand and dark rock that makes a hole to the outside. If I let in the light, wind might blow the passage closed again, might sweep away my work and set the cave to howling. I keep scraping, little by little, because rain follows wind, sunlight follows rain, and both are needed to grow. When the time comes, I will raise a glass and drink the cool rain water, holding the cup with blistered, bleeding fingers and a toast to the organisms that sprout in the thin beam of light. With more excavation, it will get wider, wide enough to climb through. The cave will always be there long after I won't need the sanctuary, as ancient as the spinal cord of the mountain or the base that is the feet, a safe haven in the storm for creatures to go in for the night. So I'm kind of making my thesis director scared because I'm including poetry in my short fiction manuscript. So, thank you to Katrina for telling me about a book I should have read a long time ago, Women Who Run with Wolves. I've been reading it off and on, over and over again. And so the collection is a rumination on the word criaturas. And this is a few poems from that. La Rosa. Don't make me your mother's cautionary tale, and I won't make you mine. When we find each other, accept all that I have to give and take. My thorns can plunge bone deep and twist your heart from your chest, but don't make that our story. I don't have to be the fruit from that elusive garden, the siren calling from the rocks. We can be us 2 together, no violence involved, as long as you accept my giving and my taking. Natural as the waves washing away and returning what you thought was yours. I can be your dream mujer, but never the waiting one, the crying ghost dressed in white that haunts rivers and crossroads for what she has lost. I will not be tethered. I can settle like sediments on a rock for a time, watch the city from the bus window, let you steer us to the way. Always I will return to my original state of being, folded in on myself to prevent withering, drying out, bunched together, then open. You will have to time the cycles and hope you get it right. Pull your bleeding hand from my stem and remember what your mother told you about love's furtive flame. Kind of going off of what Micah was talking about with beastly women, I was ruminating on the Weird Sisters, and so this is an ode to them. The Wayward Sisters. 1. Exile. When we are lost to one another, find me on the hill where 3 roads meet, the exiling road where we were born for sorrow. We are they that spin and keep webs from tangling, weaving with deft fingers the lines of time to pick out our own possibilities. When shall we 3 meet again? Witches, bad women, taken from one another for seeing truths and telling them. They fear our unity, our wholeness. 2. Signs. In the meeting place, wild dogs hearken to our coming. They will say, Hecate has come. We will stretch our spindly fingers and stand together, back to back, strong against our attackers, conjuring fortunes in our hearts. Strange men who wish to know their destinies will wait under cover of darkness to fulfill their own prophecies of violence unto the world. 3. Return. Doorways open at the crossroads. Here the spirits speak our stories, the ones even we cannot yet know. We take hands and recite in the dark our spell of affirmation that we are the progeny of worlds gone by. We have come and gone when earth cracked and oceans boiled, and no violence of man will keep us from each other. So I just finished this today, and the dedication is for my grandmother and my cousin, who we lost 6 months apart, one from a stroke and one from suicide. And they're both amazing women who suffered a lot of pain. Sorry. So I'm just going to read a few poems that are somewhat dedicated to them. You, with your back bent, became the mountain pass. We used your spine, bent as it was towards your work, and made your ridges into footholds, climbing towards the other side. You could not follow to the other side, just as now we bend towards your image, adorning you with flowers in our dreams, la corona de la muerte. I see you asleep with the stars. Asleep with the stars, your body stone built on ancestral columns, cracks rivering up your legs in raised blue that marks you as mother. Mother, giver, broken before time. The in-between must be a relief. A crescent moon cradles your tired back, and you are out of reach. We cannot claw you back down. We cannot claw you back into our life's blood, pooling thick and brown in the crags and fissures, the pillar and bowl of our family altar. Our family alters futures and relives past. I wish for you a hummingbird, a portal to return, and yet no return from guiding the sun home. Your spine bent to relieve, to usher us over and above you. This life, the landslide that pulled you away. I'll read one more from here. Am I doing okay on time? I assume? Okay. Take my pain for a while, she begs. Make it yours. Let it sit in your chest like bricks you can't move or breathe from its weight. She detaches her aching legs, and I give her mine. Walk with these legs, she demands. The muscles are lumpy, the veins reedy. My steps are toddler steps. Take this broken back, she offers. Her spine is permanently bent, an error in evolution. The discs are misaligned, broken columns on unfit soil. Hold my pain inside you, She smiles. Like a handful of keys, a necklace of nettles, hold it until it belongs to you. Pobre criatura, she calls my broken body. You can hold the aching orb of my life inside you, but it will always be mine. Don't cry for a scorpion who cannot sting. Before we get to the novel, I actually want to read one of the poems. My grandmother was a poet, unpublished. And so I included one of her poems at the end because I feel like her words need to be in the world.
Can you hold just a sec? I got to replace the battery.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No worries. Okay. This one is called Solitude. In lonely moments, when my heart is sad, there's nothing better I would like to do than walk along the long and silent corridors of time, through thick green forests or a mountain trail, where I could lose myself in quiet solitude, or I could walk along a sandy beach and capture from the blue-green sea and seagulls flying in the sky above a bit of their tranquility. That's your grandma. I'm going to read a little bit of my novel, just the prologue. And forgive me because I printed some of it, but it printed weird, so I might be switching over to my phone at some point, which I generally don't like to do, but oh well. The working title is We Who Walk Beneath the River. She came from Michoacan, one of those small pueblos at the base of the mountain. That is how Jose begins my story, one that his mother made sure to tell him, and before that, his grandmother. The role of telling the story fell to him. It is a story his wife and all of his children know, even a few of his grandchildren. Miriam was a soldadera who braved the perils of war to protect her family. When Santa Anna's army marched to Texas, she was there. He starts the story there because this is all he knows of my origins, having never been there himself. The hill country, Texas, this is his home and what he knows best, so he rushes to get us marching into battle, the victories and the deaths. He refuses to comment on these victories, these deaths, because for better or worse, the past is the past, and what is left is all he has known. Switch over, if I can make it work, sorry. Okay. Jose is earnest, the kind of man that shakes your hand, gripping it from the side like you're his friend from long ago, and he tells you his full name. When people he meets ask him where his familia is from, he gives them this story, one he's memorized from so long ago that no one knows whether it's true or not. His great-great-aunt marched to Texas before there was a border, he says, and went unnamed in all the written accounts of Santa Anna's army, just like her mother and brother. His children are not concerned about preserving the Montes family history. Jose tried to teach his grandchildren about my legacy on a trip to the Alamo to learn about the famous battle. Standing in the middle of the courtyard, he observed the cutout art of Davy Crockett standing 4 feet taller than him in a raccoon skin hat. Next to him, the Mexican soldier was almost as small as his grandson. He had bags around his eyes and scowled at Jose like a petulant child. His grandson exalted Davy Crockett and the other Anglo men that fought in the battle, exclaiming, "And we won, Granddad!" Jose didn't know then how to explain to a 5-year-old the living intricacies of that lost battle, the unwilling surrender of land and status when being Tejano changed from a birthright to a torment. One observes those kinds of things like a time-released capsule of hurt that comes alive inside of you years later and leaves you breathless at the hate of it all. Jose has taken up the mantle of my story. Words like Tejano, Mexicano, Chicano do not define him as much as my story, and the land I worked to bequeath him. Being a storyteller, given the gift from my own father, I understand the bone-deep need to keep the story going, as the telling of it calcifies our existence into the bedrock of memory. He tells the bits and pieces of me that he knows. The narrative is comforting, repeatable. It instills identidad in him. The real story is bloodier. The real story would drown his perceptions of me, flooding the world of his ideas so that the small stones of truth float to the surface. In his version, I am reduced to bits and pieces of memory and fact, but I am so much more. I am the tierra that many have tried to claim, the earth that slips through their grasp. When Jose tells my story, one which was never written, he invokes my voice. This is how I come back to correct his technique, to fill in the empty spaces where time forgets, to make the story whole. Who among storytellers can say which is the right way to tell a story? I will begin differently. It is mine after all. Thank you.